If you have well, I know you have Success Club points because I've been watching those recognition posts going up. So share your Success Club points in the chat, please. And I will read them out to everybody. Tonight is really going to be a summit refresher or summary, I guess. Not even a refresher. It's been 5 minutes since Summit existed. But I went through and just took out my top takeaway from each of the Summit presentations. Not the big announcements, you guys can read. Not the recognition, you guys can look at that. But just something from each of the presentations from coaches so that you can have this as a reference and go back and remember, you know, which of those would be good for you to view again, or maybe you didn't get to view all of them. Now you know which ones to dial into. Or as we continue to recruit more and more coaches on our team to send them to that unit with very specific goals in mind, make sure you focus in on this presentation, make sure you focus in on this one. Just something to kind of give us like cliff notes of the summit experience. I do want to start with a little bit of mindset today for no particular reason other than I like to share what I need, and I need some mindset shifting. So I wanted to, let me start by sharing my screen. Where did my present button? There it is. I should have started this before I started speaking, but there I am. And I didn't read out your successful points. Now I can't see them. I will read them out at the end. I forgot to read them as they were going. But I want you to take a minute and I want you to just think about what better together means to you. So it could be related to the coaching experience, to challenge groups, to you being better as a part of your family, as a part of your community, related to coaching. So just give yourself a good minute to really envision and define and or redefine what better together means to you. And yes, my kids are watching a Christmas movie. If you can hear that in the background. Because for me, better together is the idea that I don't have to do anything by myself, or at least that I don't have to experience anything by myself. And I know we have friendships outside of Beachbody, and I know we have our families, and we have, you know, our lives outside of this community. But I think about when I see Better Together, I think about the ending of Philadelphia Super Sunday. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. And we gather together in a circle, and the MC does this really cool thing where he brings to attention the struggles and hardships that many of the participants have faced and how this community surrounds them. And I remember that it surrounds me, even when I feel like I don't have a place, even when I feel like I don't have a voice, even when I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing in this or other things. That's what it is for me. And my PowerPoint is moving along, so I'm guessing it's time for me to move along as well. Okay, so we did that one. Moving right along. So as I said, I just took one takeaway from each one of the presentations, and I'll share which presentation it's from as I give a little tutorial on it. If you guys can turn off that TV now that the movie is over, because that song's gonna just be distracting me the entire time. But if anyone has ears and hears me. So first things first, the keynote speaker, Kendra Hall, we were lucky enough to have her speak on that team call a little while ago. So we are comfortable with her, we're familiar with her style and her, you know, focus. But really, it's interesting to me because I actually text Jackie during her presentation and I was like, I think she's adorable, but why do I feel like I'm never really learning anything when she's speaking? And she goes, because this is what you teach us all the time. So I had to like really extrapolate from her something. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back, because there's things in each person's presentation that I think Teresa's good at this. This is Leslie's jam. This is Robin. This is Emmy. This is Jackie. This is Steph, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to Kendra Hall, she's all about telling stories, and I'm an English teacher. That's my jam. That's what I talk about, and that's what I like to do. But she really reminds us to tell all of our stories, and that everything can be a story. And we don't have to take a million years to draft a post all the time, but to not take for granted the little moments, the little experiences, past and present, that are worth telling. And if that's something you struggle with, if you feel like your social media is super dry or super redundant, that would be a great presentation for you to revisit. And by the way, these are in no particular order. It's not like I'm gearing up towards my top takeaway. They're just in the order in which I was taking notes. So tip number 2, which I thought was interesting, was from Angie Bellemare. And if you guys watched her presentation, she talked all about your voice and what to do as a coach from day one and on, kind of like starting off and here's how you go. And she talks through her morning routine. She talks through the vital behaviors. She talks through all of that stuff. It's a really great one for new coaches to pay attention to, or for those of us that need a little reminder or what we're doing isn't working. But I liked what she said is that she has a rule for herself that she cannot share an invite or a call to action in her stories until she has 10 to 15 valuable stories in her stories. And so she said it causes her to really post intentionally every single day. So she gets that 10 to 15 slides of valuable content, and that she can have a call to action in there every day, or at least every other day. And she said it's really reshaped the way she does her stories. It's not just show and tell, but it's really teaching, it's educating, it's working on not just here's my lunch, but this is why I'm balancing this with this. Not just, you know, I did my workout, but this is the muscle group that this move is targeting. I had to modify this. Here's why. Here's how you can modify all that stuff. And just our daily life things. It shouldn't always just be, you know, I'm out, like today, I was outside watering my grass and I was asking for help. But then tomorrow I should share the tips that people have been putting in my inbox to share with my followers. So thinking of the reciprocity of our Instagram, and I liked the 10 to 15 post rule before you have your call to action. And that was Angie Bellemare. I can never say her name correctly. And then next ones, I think I have to minimize you guys because your faces are right in front of my text here. So Bonnie Engel, she told a really neat story about how when she first started as a coach, she was just messaging people, inviting people, had all the confidence in the world. And then as she started to rank advance, she was in a training group with somebody who asked about ghosting. How often is everyone getting ghosted? How often do you tell something or send an invite or in a conversation and someone stops reaching out? And she said she realized that that had been happening to her all along, but until she was taught, quote unquote, taught or exposed to the idea that this was weird, it never bothered her. And once it got in her mind that it bothered her, then her Success Club points started to drop and her rank started to drop, and she lost her steam for a bit because she was focusing too much on the no's and the ghosts and not enough on the yes and the momentum. And so what I really liked about her presentation, it's a really great actionable one. If you have not done this yet, she walks you through creating 3 confidence lists that give you some proof of how awesome you are, how awesome our products are, how awesome this opportunity is, so that you never feel that fear again. You never let those ghosts bother you. You never let those no's bother you because you have all this proof of why this is an amazing experience. This is a great one for all of us to do, but also a really good one for us to bring our challengers through when they transition into coaches. Because if they've been challengers first, they'll have these lists, or within the first couple of weeks of a new coach's opportunity for them to sit down and do this and to continue rebuilding on it. The next one was Maura Kusaba. Her presentation was very specific. So she was talking about how to get to, what the heck is it called? Team leader on the leadership ladder, which is the second rung on the leadership ladder. She gave very specific targets for numbers, PV, TV. She defines all of that. It's really clear. I really do love when she does trainings on YouTube or Beachbody Champions that are numbers related or compensation related. I find her very understandable, which is the worst way to say it ever. But she talks about how in order to reach that, if you don't even want to worry about the numbers, there's 2 things that I thought were great, actionable for us, regardless of PV, TV, the size of our teams. Number 1, or A, is vast product knowledge, understanding our entire library of programs, understanding all of the nutrition products. That doesn't mean we have to use every single one and completely go it broke trying to try every single boost and every single this, every single that. But keeping that dialogue going in your challenge groups and on our team pages so that we have that knowledge and we know to pull from these things. I have a post going up in Tribe Redefine on Wednesday that's going to kind of initiate that kind of conversation. So take a peek at that. And the second thing is to seek how to help your team reach Success Club. Almost more important, she said, for her is to help her team reach Success Club than it is for her to reach Success Club. She set a minimum goal that she would help 5 coaches reach Success Club every month. She said it took her a couple of months to get that going and to really build up to that, but now it's a consistent, non-negotiable for her. Every month she's helping 5, at this point, new coaches or coaches for the first time hit Success Club. Something that is definitely an admirable goal and one that we can all do. The next presentation I want to talk about is Mandy Kai, and she talks very much about social media, your impact on there. She's such a unique individual. I remember she did a training on Beachbody Champions, or maybe it was a National Makeup Call, I think it was last year. She just had a skyrocket of a rise into the top. Because when she became a coach, she took no prisoners when it came to being herself. She has been herself from beginning to end. And if that's something you struggle with, if you feel like your voice isn't authentic, or you don't know how to show up as your genuine self, or you're just blending into the Beachbody white noise, this is a presentation for you. Or if you have a coach who's struggling with that, this is the one to link to them. But what I really loved that she talked about is always lead from experience to ensure you find your voice. So we shouldn't just talk about how awesome Shakeology is in general. We shouldn't just say 10 rounds is really great because you get 2 rest days. We shouldn't just say, doesn't 30-day breakaway look great for all you runners out there? We need to talk from our own experience. So we need to talk about what Shakeology has done for our gut health, or what 10 rounds was able to do with the core moves that actually helped me, someone with scoliosis, actually chisel my core, because that's really difficult for me because the moves never really coordinate to my spine, right? But really thinking about our experience and making that a part of what we're talking about so we don't sound like salesy people. And she said to continuously ask yourself, who am I? And how can I make an inclusive impact? What group or contingency of people are we really focusing in on? And how can we make them feel heard and seen? And also know that everyone's heard and seen and everybody's welcome, but really give voice to someone or some niche that is struggling to have some sort of support in their midst. Number 6, Jess Dukes lays out the total solution. I want you guys to consider putting this on your top PD list for every new coach, because she legit breaks down every single thing that we have to offer our new customers. And it's, straightforward, from Beachbody On Demand to the nutrition programs to Shakeology down to everything. But what she talks about so much is that we have to remember nutrition. We have to remember products like collagen, beach bars, the performance line, etc. And really creating, almost stealing from Mandy and stealing from, who was the one I talked about? I can't remember. Oh my gosh, Bonnie Engel, that our experiences really matter. The proof we have in these products really matter all the time. So, once in a while, I shouldn't just stand in my mirror holding my mom magic, but I need to remind people why that's important to me. Maybe the next day I'm going to talk to them very specifically about my brownie batter recover. And the next day I'm going to talk to them very specifically about my Shakeology, but really allowing them to understand the total solution, which you guys are all really great at. Number 7 came from one of our favorites, Micah Folsom. She talked about, and I just love this, she had so much to say in her presentation that I could have written everything down. But what I really, really loved is that the way to recruit consistently is to empower the people in your challenge groups. She goes, couple results and empowerment. And what she means by that is you're not just focusing on giving them results in their fitness and nutrition program, but you're giving them leadership opportunities within the team or within that challenge group, and sharing that awesomeness with them and thanking them and recognizing it for that, or recognizing them for that. Talking to one of your customers that's in your group who's always commenting on other people's posts, or who always asks really good questions, or who answers the question before you get a chance to, and really saying, my goodness, you're just like a coach in this group. You know, what would Leslie, Nicole, and I do without you? Or those kinds of comments go a long way, and recognizing that publicly and behind the scenes is really important. Melissa McAllister talked about Success Club, and she has hit it for 100 and something months in a row. She's been a coach forever, and she really does not stumble here. And one of the things that we always hear is tracking. I can't say the word tracking without hearing my girlfriend Julie Voris talk about it in that action hour. And she goes, I know that because I'm tracking, And I just hear her say that, and I will always track as best as I can track on any given day because of her. But not just tracking, Melissa reminds us, but reflecting on it. Trust me, ladies, if we track all day long, but we never look back at those trackers, it doesn't matter. We're not going to make any improvements. We're not going to realize where we're falling short. So looking at them every week, spending some time reflecting. I don't know if you guys can see me or if you can just see the presentation, but I've got my priority planner from Rachel Hollis, Start Today, and it has a weekly reflection in there. I created a weekly reflection if you guys wanted to look at it in the files tab that goes along with your Success Club tracker. So just making yourself some sort of habit on Sunday night or Monday morning where you look back at that and see where you need to make some adjustments to make your goals a little bit simpler. And remember to have fun. She talks about her Shakeology competition with another coach of hers. They're exploding Shakeologies and lighting them on fire and all this stuff. So we need to have the business, the tracking, the reflection, and have the fun. And Success Club should be there. All right. Now, one of the more calm presentations was Isabel Deichler's breakdown of Shakeology. She talked about so many things. You guys can go and watch that if you'd like. It was rather informative, 14 facts about Shakeology. But this is one that I really that resonated with me, perhaps because it is something very personal to me. It's this idea that our gut health is really impacted by the coupling of pre and probiotics. It is very rare for shakes, especially, to contain both pre and probiotics. We often hear about people having to take prebiotics because they're on a certain medication, or adding prebiotics to their diet because they've had indigestion or whatever it is. But those prebiotics aren't going to do their job, or they're going to need such a high dose if they do not have probiotics to balance it out. And Shakeology has that, as well as all the other good things that we know. And just remember, it's not just a protein shake. And she gives us some really great ways of looking at it in her presentation. Now, for the last couple of minutes, I want to spend time digging deep into Holly Hillier's presentation. I'm not sure if you guys saw it. It's kind of buried within the summit videos. But it's amazing. She is currently ranked #1 in the network, or at least kind of wavers in and out of #1 since the beginning of this actual year. And she has had a serious skyrocket as well. But it's interesting because she's been in the business for a while, but her rise to the top has been recent because she's seen very specific changes in the way that she focuses her business, but also because she has staying power. And she talks a lot about that she made a decision when she decided to coach, and when she realized the opportunity within this coaching, that she needed to speak exactly about the coaching journey she was on. So she talks about thinking of coaching as our fitness journey. Coaching has its before and after. Coaching has its proof of the product. And that's what we need to talk about. And we cannot be afraid to talk about where we are now, even if it's not where we're going. So she shares so many neat examples. Please go watch her presentation. I don't want to steal her thunder, and she does it such justice. Showing, for example, once where she has, a new house, and she and her son are sitting in the floor of this empty room. And she says that through her coaching, she's going to fill this room, whatever it is. And it's just cool. She does really neat things like that. She said when she decided she wanted to work this business, it was because she wanted to be able to work at home side by side with her son. So she includes her son in so many of her images and so many of her posts because she wants to attract moms who want their children to be a part of their day. the little silly goals you achieve. She said she shared the first time she was able to afford a first class plane ticket. And she said, if people have been on her journey with her, it's not bougie or it's not show offy. It's proof that she is reaching her goals. So if we're creating that dialogue and we're creating that journey, that trajectory that we are on, it's not weird for us to share those little pieces along the way. I like to think of them, because of this example she provided, as our non-scale victories of coaching. Those little things we're able to do, afford, experience because of the coaching trajectory we're on. She also talks about sharing objections, which we talk about all the time, that we need to share the objections in our posts. But what she does is to show how we train as coaches away from those. She shows an example of, she posted that she was attending a training on being serving people and not being salesy, and she showed like a screen, it was a picture of her laptop with the presentation title, and she was logging in for this online class to make sure she's not being salesy, but that she's serving her clients. And I just thought that was so neat. I know we talk about the action hours we do, we always talk about objections to the price of Shakeology or to Beachbody on Demand or coaching because you don't have enough time. We talk about that stuff, but how we continue to grow as coaches so that we are not being the thing that people don't want us to be. I thought that was a really neat way of putting it. And then finally, I want to leave you with this quote that she said at the very end of her presentation. And it really makes sense when you go through with her how she talks about attracting coaches. She doesn't find business builders, she attracts them. She said she's sharing continuously the trajectory of her journey. She is sharing specifically, and of course she's inviting behind the scenes. But what she said you need to remember is this: that dream coach you are wanting to attract, do all of this and you'll know her dream fits yours. So the people that come to you will be your people. And I just really, really, really want to encourage everyone to take some time to watch her presentation if you have not. All right. Does that make sense? I don't know why I asked that. I didn't ask that. I'm not asking that anymore. It made sense. It was good. I don't need to ask for that. Let me read Success Club points real quick. And then if anyone would like to unmute and share a summit takeaway that they had, I would love to hear about them. And I'm sure everyone else would as well. Teresa's kicking major booty with 15. Stephanie is at a big fat 0, and that won't last long. Robin is at 2. Brittany, I just read your name, but Leslie is at 6. And Emmy is at 4. Brittany, Erica, if you have any Success Club points that you want to punch them into the chat, please do. But did anyone have anything they wanted to add about one of those presentations, or just anything else in general from Virtual Summit that you wanted to share? Please feel free to unmute and go. I'm not going to micromanage. Pippi Longstocking, do you have anything to add?
No, I know nothing. And yet everything at the same time.
Yeah, don't we all? That's a good summary of motherhood.
Right.
Awesome.
I think it was really good that it was virtual. I mean, obviously we would all like to be together, but it was such a great opportunity to be able to share so much more of that, like in our groups and things like that. So I appreciated that, but I like the trainings and being able to have like all of it.
Yeah, people are loving the summit workouts.
I wish that, so we have to wait so long for them when we are physically there to get recorded or whatnot in the coach office. I wish they would do both, because Teresa's right. Like, I would love to be able to go back after not being in every session when we're there, or missing out something or not hearing something.
Yeah. I agree. I liked just that the presentations were simpler, I guess. And I know normally there's more to share, but they kept them to a nice tight time frame and kind of cut out all the crap of I was just going to say of all the presentations, even though I just did that on a presentation, but like, there's just so much. Some of them had slides to go along with it, but it just feels like there's a lot in those presentations that's just too much to walk away with. So it was just enough actionable knowledge that we can really put into action and implement. Awesome. Okay. Well, very, very cool. Here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to do a little, for our action item, a little Instagram stories audit. So we've been doing our Instagram feed audits, but I want you to do a little Instagram stories audit and see, first off, count up your slides that have value in them. So if you're just sitting there waving at the camera, good morning, there's no value in that. You know, that's lovely, inspiring. But if you've reached 10 to 15 value-driven posts, then share some sort of call to action. If you have not, give yourself some space to add some value to your Instagram and try again tomorrow within that 24-hour cycle to make sure you get to the 10 to 15. Don't just sit here posting 7 slides because you need to in order to get to that thing. But share some sort of value. It doesn't have to be nutrition, it doesn't have to be fitness. It could be anything at all. After you count up your slides.
So I'm telling you.
Stop.
Oh, I slept in a bit and just outside with good morning. I slept in a bit and just outside the vibe and really not yet. Just so don't be perfect.